Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today, and welcome to this educational presentation where today I want to talk to you about capturing quick gains. Now, in today's educational presentation, I'm going to share with you a method that has low risk, has you in and out quickly, and most of the time, with a high percentage of consistency, has you capturing these quick, small gains so that you can get in and out quickly and move on to the next trade. Let me show you what I mean here in this quick example. All right, let's look at this chart here in NVIDIA. Now, most people looking back at this would have said, well, this stock has been going straight up. Looks like it's in a short-term downtrend. Maybe I'll exit my position. I'll get out of it entirely. But with the method I'm going to be sharing with you today, you would have actually known that a buy signal was generated right towards the lows of that little small downtrend. And then with the method I'll tell you for exiting this particular technique, you would have been exiting in 3 days with potentially a 75-point gain. So this is what we're going to be talking about today, capturing these quick gains and being able to get in and out quickly with minimal risk and not tying up your money. Now, the good news is it's not that complicated. In fact, it's one click away on our platform, the PTS Primo charting platform that actually teaches you how to capture these quick short-term gains. So this promises to be a great educational presentation today. Thanks once again for joining us. My name is Stephen Primo. I am the president and founder of Specialist Trading. I've been trading now for 47 years. I started my career on the floor of the Pacific Stock Exchange, where I was on the floor for 16 years, and 9 of those years I was a specialist. That's where we get the name Specialist Trading. A specialist simply makes markets in roughly about 60 stocks. So I did that during my tenure as a specialist. I made markets in roughly IBM, Waste Management, US Air. Traded during the crash of '87 and the bull market that followed. So I've had a lot of experience. And as I always say, I know what works in terms of consistency and I know what doesn't. So that's why we formulated Specialist Trading with one goal in mind, and that was simply to educate traders around the world all the things that I've learned and accumulated that have high levels of consistency. And you're going to see that in today's educational presentation. Now, once again, before we begin, we are required to share this with you. So please take a moment to view our disclaimer. I'm going to show you a lot of performance results using this short-term technique, but please remember that we can in no way guarantee that any of the results I'm about to share with you will be repeated in the future. Also, since we are an educational company, all examples are strictly for educational purposes only. Now, if you haven't done so already, please feel free to follow us on Twitter or X, however you'd like to call it. I post upwards of between 5 or 7 different snapshots a day of signals that have been generated using our techniques or methods. Also, a little bit of financial wisdom. Also, this presentation is being presented live and live streamed on YouTube. So there's lots of great free ways in which to get more education on a daily basis. So please feel free to follow us on all of these different platforms. Now remember, we are first and foremost an educational company. I know a lot of traders come to webinars thinking like, well, I'm going to see what this guy thinks about this particular stock, or what does he think about the market? That's not what an educator does. An educator doesn't tell you what to buy or sell. He teaches you how to do that so that you can make your decisions on your own. So my goal as a teacher, as an educator, is to teach you how to trade with a specialist edge. Now, when I was first starting out some 47 years ago, I struggled tremendously, probably like a lot of you are currently doing right now. And that's okay. I know exactly what it's like. It's very frustrating and depressing because you're spending a lot of hard-earned money and time trying to make things work, and you're not seeing the type of results you would like to see. Well, my mentors really saw how much I was struggling, and they taught me all of these things that I share with my students around the world. And the first thing they taught me was you have to make your own decisions. You can't simply piggyback off of some guy in a chat room or a trading room or what some guy says on TV or what the earnings are. You have to have a plan in place prior to that information coming out, and you have to stick with it. But the plan must be based on sound fundamental information that has stood the test of time. That's the service we provide at Specialist Trading. I teach you all of these things that really have a high level of consistency so that ultimately you'll be able to make your own trading decisions. In my opinion, that is the only way you will become a consistent trader, by making your decisions and not letting someone or something else make them for you. And you'll see that in today's educational presentation. Now, just a few things before we begin. First of all, if you have a question, we have a good crowd here today. If you have a question, please wait till the end of class to ask them. I promise I'll get to each and every one of them. but I don't want to waste too much time stopping on every slide to answer a question. So please write it down and try to remember if you have a question. The second thing is we are recording this presentation. So if you have to leave early or if you have technical issues where you can't see or hear me clearly, don't worry. We will send each and every one of you a link to this presentation. You can watch it, the recording, at your own leisure, okay? Okay, with that stated, let's begin today's educational presentation. So what are we going to be talking about today in terms of short-term trading? Well, we're going to be talking about strategy number 10. This is a great strategy and it was specifically designed for these short-term gains. So let me share with you some of the highlights of this particular method. First of all, it's our only short-term strategy, meaning that it's the only method we have that's based entirely off of short-term requirements. So this is really unique because normally we'll have things that are based on overall trend requirements or overall indicators or overall patterns. No, this is the only trading method we have that's based on short-term requirements, okay? Now, this basically says that we do not apply the buy-sell line to determine trend. Now, two things here. If you're new to my presentations, I would say about 90 to 95% of all of our methods and techniques are trend following. And the second thing is if you're not familiar with our basic tool, the buy-sell line, this is something we teach all of our students to apply, especially in the beginning, because it tells you whether you should be a buyer or a seller. It automatically identifies the overall trend. So let me share with you what I mean. Let's look at this current chart of Micron. Now, this is a weekly chart. So if you're thinking about investing, this is where these overall trend requirements come in handy. This is the fluid buy-sell line, as you can see right here. And we tell our students that when price is below the buy-sell line, you should either be out of the market or looking to sell to go short. But when you have consecutive closes above, as we do here in the blue buy zone, that's where you should become a buyer, okay, and look to buy. Now, that was roughly in April of 2023, so just about a year ago, that our students knew to go long MU, Micron Technology. Roughly the stock was about 64, 65 points. Now it's doubled in price. See how simple it is when you know how to apply these simple, basic, but very consistent techniques? But the only problem is this is for more of an overall trend trader, someone who wants to trade with the trend, maybe a swing trader or a long-term investor. And this works great. The trouble is, we're not talking about that today. We're talking about short-term trading. So this doesn't use the buy-sell line at all because we're only going to be concerned about getting out of these quick trades here, okay? So it does not apply the buy-sell line. It's a combination indicator-based pattern recognition method. Now that once again goes against what we usually teach because most of our methods are either one or the other, based on an indicator, a pattern of the indicator, or based on a pattern of the particular bar charts. But this is combining both, okay? So this makes it unique as well. Now, most trades are designed to last 1 to 7 days. Every once in a while, and I'll show you a couple examples, you may get a trade that lasts longer, maybe 10 days. But using this particular method I'll share with you today, most of the trades last anywhere from 1 to 7 bars, okay? So if you're looking at this to trade this on an intraday basis, instead of saying 1 to 7 days, you'll say 1 to 7 bars. Now, you can apply it to option trading. This makes it really favorable to apply to option trading because a lot of option traders don't want to get caught with these expensive premiums and they don't want to get caught holding on to something for a long time and seeing the premium decline. If you're in and out in 7 days, you're basically going to hold on to that price of the option. So if you're an option trader, this is a unique method to trade with. Also, we're going to teach you in the course aggressive and conservative versions. We know we have some aggressive traders who like to take on more risk, who like to get in at a quicker price and get out quicker. We also have some more conservative traders who like to keep their risk to a minimum and also like to capture as much gains as possible. So we'll show you these different versions in the course. Now, we know a lot of traders say, well, Steve, I'm not a short-term trader. Well, think of it. If you are a long-term investor or say a longer intermediate-term swing trader, this is a great technique or a great method to offset those investments. Because let's say in the overall trend, the market is going lower. But if you know how to trade on the short-term trend, which doesn't use those requirements for a longer-term investment, well, then you can kind of offset some of those long-term investments, okay? Now, with all of our methods, They are very high in consistency, but most traders are unaware of what the true definition of consistency means. Consistency doesn't mean that it has not a lot of winners necessarily. What consistency means is that you have a two-step forward, one-step back approach, meaning that you will have losses from time to time. It's an awareness that you will have losses, but that's okay. I mean, think of it. Think of any endeavor, any hobby, any career. There's always some period where it doesn't work out, where there's a small failure. Think if you're learning how to ski, all right? No one's never going to fall. You have to fall every once in a while. Does that mean you're a failure at skiing? No. It's the same way with trading. There are going to be small losses from time to time. That is all right. As long as you are able to recoup those losses and then have some gains, that's the definition of consistency. I'm happy to say strategy number 10 is a very consistent method, as are all of our methods at Specialist Trading. Okay, so let me share with you some recent strategy 10 signals, and I'll show you this technique for capturing these quick short-term gains. And remember, everything you're seeing today is displayed on our platform that I developed with ProTrader Strategies, the PTS Primo charting platform. It teaches you how to capture these quick short-term gains, and everything is one click away. Okay, let's look at this chart in MCHP, all right? Someone looking at this would say, well, gosh, Steve, I don't have much information here. I'm only looking at 4 bars or so. How can I tell? Well, here's the easiest way to find out if strategy 10 is generating any type of a signal or if it sees anything. On our platform, once again, on the static chart. Remember, you're not scanning overnight. You're looking at the chart as the market is unfolding. Click on strategy 10 on our platform. In the drop-down menu, click on signal arrows, and it will display any buy or sell arrows that are currently active in strategy number 10. As we see here, there's one right here. So at the end of this day, you could have purchased MCHP. Now, here's the technique I want to share with you, okay? I'm not going to go over the stop placement, and I'm not going to share with you all our different stop placements and all our different exit levels. I'm just going to share one different exit point that is really perfect for the short-term trading. What you do is once you buy, you want to look for the last short-term high. In other words, you go back in prior bars and see where the last short-term high is. And that would be right here, right? This is the recent short-term high. So what we want to do is, once you purchase this, if you decide to purchase it, because once again, this is not a system, it's up to you if you want to do that or not, you will be closing, or you will be exiting the position on the first close above this recent short-term high. Now, we don't mean that if it trades above there, you simply sell. It has to close above there, okay? And usually this will happen anywhere from 1 to 7 days, sometimes a little longer. I'll show you some examples of that, but usually only happens between 1 and 7 days. So you purchased right here. Let's see what happened. The next day it went up to that level. And then the next day, look what happened. In 2 days, you made a quick 8 points. See how simple this is? Now that's roughly, it was almost like about a 10% gain in the price, all right? And you could have had options in this, or you could have actually purchased the stock. Let's look at something else, okay? Let's look at something a little bit more current. This happened just about a week or 2 ago. This is once again, we're looking at the Micron, but now we're looking at a short-term chart, all right? Now someone looking at this would say, well, Steve, it doesn't have any direction. It's kind of going up, then going down. Well, what does strategy number 10 say? Click it on. And as we can see in the signal arrows, it'll tell us on the static chart if there are any signals that have been generated. As you can see, yeah, a couple of days ago, if we're looking at this, we see that there was a buy signal generated towards the low. So the first thing you would have wanted to do was purchase this. Roughly, if you had just seen that here, you could have purchased it on this day at roughly the same price. But go back in time and see where the last high was, which is right here. This is the most recent short-term high. So you're going to hold this position, even though we'll share with you what the stop placement's in the course, but you're going to hold the position until we close above this, all right? Provided you don't get stopped out with a small loss. So nothing really much happened in the next week. You didn't get stopped out, but nothing much happened until this. Basically, some news came out where it gapped up much higher, and there was a nice quick 15 points in just a little over a week, okay? About 15% price gain in just about a week's time. See how simple this is? Let's look at another example here in VRSK. Someone looking at this would say, Steve, this is major support. I went to that chat room, and that guy who always looks at support and resistance with the big banks and the large money houses say that they're buying here. That's why it's holding. It's going to keep going higher. Okay. Once again, remember I said at the very beginning of the presentation, we will never take our cue from someone telling you what to do. Strategy 10 is based on market behavior. So we're taking our cue from what the market is telling us, not from what some guy in a chat room or what the earnings are or what the interest rates are. We're only making our decisions based off what the market is telling us. I mean, doesn't that seem logical? Because after all, that's what we're trading, right? Why would you take your, your trading cue from something else? So we're basing this simply off the market. Click on strategy 10, click on signal arrows, and we see here where you thought the market was going to take off. Strategy 10, which is based on the market behavior, is telling you, no, this is a sell signal. So if you decided to take this or maybe buy some puts, you go back in time and look where the most recent low was, and that's right here. This is the recent short-term low. So if we close below there, you'll cover your short. So you would have sold here, and in 1, 2, 3 days, a quick 10 points, okay? Once again, extremely simple. Let's look at Microsoft. Buy signal was generated here. All right, this was on the 15th of March, just a couple of weeks ago. Here's the most recent short-term high. 1, 2, 3, 4 days, you made a quick 13 points. Remember, we're only trying to capture these quick short-term gains. We're not trying to be in this long. We don't want it. This is for traders who don't want to tie up their money, who want to keep their risk to a minimum and want to be in and out quickly so they can move on to the next trade. We have plenty of strategies that will take you longer in the trade and that will gear more towards staying in longer and having higher profits. But here we're solely concentrating on those traders who like to get in and out quickly with nice quick profits. Let's look at PDD. All right. 2 sell signals were generated here and here. Nothing much happened after the first one, but you could have still been in the trade. You go back in time and find the most recent short-term low, and roughly in 6 days, there's a nice 12-point gain. As you look at ALGN, we had a buy signal right here. All right, if you decided to take it, you look and find the most recent high, most recent short-term high, and in 1, 2, 3 days, you had a 15-point gain. One of the reasons why we like to use this exit for these short-term gains is look what happens a lot of times. Many times you'll see it keep going, but that's okay. You can move on to the next trade. But other times you'll see price quickly reverse and you'll say to yourself, gosh, why didn't I get out when I had a chance? So it's up to you to decide how you want to exit. Remember, our job as an educator is to provide you with this information so that you can once again make your own decisions. Our job as an educator is to teach you how to trade, but not to trade for you. Here's a sell signal on IDXX. Here's the most recent short-term low. And in 2 days, quick 15 points. Okay, here's a buy in FANG. Now, this is what can happen many times with multiple quick gains here. We see right at the low of this short-term downtrend, a buy signal was generated. Okay, here's the most recent short-term high. And in roughly a week, you could have made a quick 9 points. That's your exit point right there. All right. And look what happened after that. That's why we say, if you're trying to trade, get in and out quickly, use this exit point because oftentimes price will reverse. But this doesn't mean just to simply walk away. Check your work again and you find out that there's another buy signal right here. So you go back in time and see the most recent high now is this high right here. So you could have purchased again and in roughly a little over a week, made another 9 points. So roughly just after doing these quick short-term trades, you could have potentially captured 18 points just by being in the trade for a little over 2 weeks at a time. And that works to the downside as well. Here's an example in Amgen. Here was a sell signal generated at the beginning of the month. Here's the most recent short-term low. And by the way, you're noticing that all of these happened within the last 2 weeks or a month. A lot of our students took advantage of these signals at trade strategy number 10. And look what happened. In 4 days, a quick 8 points. You covered your short position right here on the close below, okay? And look what happened after that. It started to go back up. So is this time to get long now? Well, not according to strategy 10 because it generated 2 more sell signals. Now, whichever one you decided to take, you go back in time and find the most recent short-term low, which is right here. And in roughly another 3 or 4 days, another 8 points. So here you could have captured 16 points potentially, this time going short. Let's look at PANW, okay? Now, we've been going sideways for a long time, but a buy signal was generated right here. So we look at the most recent short-term high. Sure, you could have taken this one, but let's take this one just to see if maybe we want to capture some more profits. And it wouldn't have mattered because you would have profited on using each of those last short-term highs. That's a quick 20 points in just 2 days, okay? As we look at CEG, here's one where it took a little bit longer. All right, here was the buy setup. Here's the most recent short-term high, okay? So let's see how long it took for us to make a profit, if we had a profit at all. Well, we're in this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days. Nothing really much has happened. We've gone up to this level, but now we're starting to go back. This is what gets traders discouraged sometimes. But if you're sticking true to the method and to the exit positioning pattern, you would have waited one more day and potentially captured 25 points. Now remember, this generated a buy signal a good 5 days in advance or 6 days in advance prior to that 25-point gain. Someone would say, well, how did it know it was going to scream up that quickly in 1 day? It doesn't know. It's based on market behavior. Remember, the market tells you just about everything you need to know. Now, if you feel the need to watch fundamental news and look at earnings and look at estimates of what's going on in the economy for jobless claims and things of that nature, then by all means go ahead. But those things are not required at all, in our opinion, to be a successful or a consistent trader. Once you learn how to listen to the market, it's a lot easier because those things are very subjective. I can't tell you how many times I was on the floor when I used to put a lot of value in those things, when I would have some great estimates for earnings, okay? And then they would be surpassed once the earnings came out. And I thought, that's great. Boy, I'm long this stock. I'm going to make a lot of money, and it would go straight down. Or vice versa. It was terrible news. Say some terrible news came out about the economy and the market went straight up. You see, we want things that are more cut and dry, that are not so subjective. We want things that we know that once they're based off these tools, these patterns, and these indicators, you have a high level of consistency, as opposed to putting your faith in things that really don't have a high level of consistency. Let's look at the process once again, okay? So let's look at this chart here. Looks like an uptrend, a fairly simple way to analyze this. We're saying, obviously, this is in an uptrend, ZS, right? But if we apply strategy 10, click on signal arrows on the platform, and we see that the last 2 days have actually been telling us to sell. Now, nothing has happened, and if we look, this is the most recent short-term low. Well, we're still short, and then going forward now for 3 or 4 more days, if we have our stop placement in place and we're giving ourselves a little room, we're not stopped out yet, but it's not really happening yet. So we're in the trade for 4 days, 5 days already. And actually, just about 10 days later, though, we could have made potentially 35 points. So sometimes it takes a little bit longer, but you see, it's still worked out very well. Here's an example in NVIDIA we talked about earlier today, all right? Had you clicked on strategy 10, where it looked like this was running out of steam, you would have seen, clicking on the signal arrows on this static chart, we're not scanning, we're just clicking on a static chart that we have pulled up, that a buy signal was generated right here. So we find the most recent short-term high, which is right there. And we would have waited roughly 3 days. We could have potentially captured 75 points. It's that easy to capture these quick short-term gains. All right, so let's recap what we shared with you today, all right? Strategy number 10 highlights. This is our only method that's based entirely off short-term requirements. It does not apply the buy-sell line to determine the trend. I showed you that weekly chart of Micron, where that's a very easy way to trade. If you're holding on to a position for longer term, you basically have made about 100% just buying and holding off of what we shared with you on the chart earlier today. But this is for traders who say, well, listen, I can do that as well, but I'd also like to short-term trade. So strategy 10 is perfect for offsetting those. It's a combination indicator-based pattern recognition method. So this makes it very different from the other methods we have. Most trades last designed to last anywhere from 1 to 7 days, which I shared with you. And most of these examples were from this past month. Had a couple of trades that lasted longer, but usually they'll last anywhere from 1 to 7 days. Because of the shortness of duration, this makes it ideal for option traders, okay? Because you're not losing a lot of money with the premiums disintegrating. Now, we have aggressive and conservative versions to teach you in our course. If you're a long-term investor, don't worry. This is a great way to offset those long-term investments. So if you're losing in your long-term investments, you can kind of hedge by using this short-term method, all right? Now, all of our methods, including strategy number 10, are extremely consistent. Remember, a 2-step forward, back, 1-step back approach. That's what will lead you to being a consistent trader, not some fly-by-night method that says, oh, we promised the world and you'll be able to retire within a year, okay? Most of those methods do hit those home runs, but guess what? If you're hitting those home runs, most likely your risk is very high and you can give it all back. So what we're trying to do is have a nice upward slope in your profit and loss statements, not a roller coaster where you're going straight up, then straight down, you're giving it all back, okay? That will not lead you to become a consistent trader. That's more of a gambler's type approach. So ask yourself, after seeing these examples that just happened recently, do you think our short-term strategy 10 could help your trading? I think most of you would say yes. We have a good crowd here today. And I think the majority of you would say yes. So because of that, we have a great attendee discount. All right, we're going to offer you our strategy number 10 short-term trend trader package. This is our entirely new short-term strategy. You can also apply it to long-term trends, by the way, if you like. You can apply it to a weekly chart or even a monthly chart if you like. You'll get less setups and less signals, but you can still use the same process. It's our combination indicator pattern-based method. We'll give you the complete course rules to not only the aggressive way to trade it, but also the conservative versions as well. And as we stated earlier, you can apply this to option trading. So if you're an option trader, this is a great way to trade options. Either way you want to trade it with some type of just buying outright the puts or the calls, or some type of spread strategy you'd like to use. Now, everything you saw today was displayed using our platform, the PTS Primo Charting platform. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to throw in a full year free. If you become a student for a limited time, we'll give you a full year of the platform. Now, the platform just doesn't come with strategy number 10. You're going to get a host of different tools, techniques, and indicators that I've accumulated in my 47 years of trading. Most of these things I've taken from the trading floor. You won't find on any other of the major trading platforms. You won't find them on TradeStation. You won't find them on Metastock, NinjaTrader. You only find a lot of these on ProTrader Strategies, okay? Now, as we said earlier, you'll get strategy number 10. You'll get the PET D, which is another tool because it's involved with the making of strategy number 10. This is a great short-term trend trading tool that you'll also get. Another strength of trend feature that tells you when a trend is about to run out of steam or has more steam left in it, okay? Automatic exit levels, an entirely different way to exit that will be one click away on the platform. But here's one of the best things, and I always brag about this because I have a pet peeve with scanners. I love the way our scanner is because it's so simple. Everything is one click away, and you can not only scan for the major market indices, but you can scan for currency pairs. You can scan for cryptos. You can scan for futures. You can scan for ETFs. You can scan for intraday time frame. Let me share with you what I mean here. Let's look at a 4-hour chart of the Swiss franc, okay? This just happened once again, just like a week or so ago. Now, someone looking at this would say, well, gosh, okay, this is a live market. I'm trading this, but it looks like it's a sideways market. Nothing much is happening on this 4-hour chart. But on our platform, once again, if you click on Strategy 10 and click on Scan, it will tell you in real time where these signals are being generated. And you would have seen that there were signals being generated right here. So you could use the same technique I taught you today. Once you would have gone long and placed your stop, you would have found the most recent short-term high, and look what happened. In about 3 bars, you could have made a quick 35 pips. Remember, this is a 4-hour chart. Now, the stock, or I should say the currency pair, went up a little bit higher after that, but it kind of went sideways. Once again, applying strategy number 10, in the drop-down menu, click on Scan, because this is live now. This is not a static chart. You can scan live, and you would have seen that a buy signal was generated right here. Using the same technique, exit technique, find the recent short-term high, and in about 3 more bars, you could have exited with a 20 pip gain. So roughly in about 3 days, you could have accumulated over 50 pips, okay? Potentially $500 per unit. Or how about this example in the British pound? Okay, this just happened roughly about 3 weeks ago. Same process again. Click on strategy number 10. This is a 4-hour chart. Have a live scan of a 4-hour chart of the British pound. And there's a buy signal right here at the close of this bar. You could have purchased it, found the most recent short-term high, and roughly in about 4 bars, exited with a 60 pip gain. So you see the beauty of capturing these quick gains using strategy number 10. You can apply to any market, any time frame, and you can even use it for longer term if you like, but this is just one way to trade with it on the short-term basis. Okay, so let's break it down. You're going to get all of these things. You're going to get the PET-D, which is our short-term trend identifier, along with strategy number 10. Normally, this would cost close to $5,000 with the PET-D included. There's that much value in that. Here's what we're going to do. We're offering you 3 different ways to take advantage of strategy number 10 and come on board with the course. Here's the first way. We're going to slash that price, and if you'd like to pay in full, we'll drop it down to $44.95. You can save $500 or 10%. That's if you want to pay in full, outright in full. Or there's another way, because we know a lot of students already have the PET-D. So if you already own the PET-D, you just get the strategy for $34.95, okay? But there's also another way to do this, all right? We're going to slash that, and we're going to drop it down to $29.95. You'll save another $500. So if you already own the PET-D, you can still get strategy 10 for $29.95. The last way you can get strategy number 10 is by establishing a payment plan with my sister site, ProTrader Strategies. They're in charge of all the payments and all the discounts, as well as the tech support. So even if you can't come up with $44.95 or $29.95, you can come up with a fraction of either of those costs and establish a payment plan where you pay once a month, and you can still be up and running as early as today. So either way you decide to come on board, pay in full, outright in full for $44.95. If you already own the PET-D, only pay $29.95 in full, or you can establish a payment plan for either of these and still be up and running for a minimal down payment and establish a payment plan. Either way you decide to go, you're still going to get a full year of the platform with all the different benefits and all the different techniques and things you can use with that, okay? This is a great, great offer, a great way to come on board with us, okay? So here's how to take advantage of this. Contact ProTrader Strategies. They're my sister site, and they're in charge, once again, of all of the discounts and of all the payment plans. You can call them directly at 310-598-6677. Now, that link you see at the very bottom is the link that will take you to the info page. Also, you can sign up there if you'd like, if you're interested in purchasing it. But we've posted a live link in the chat box. So if you simply open up that little icon where it says chat on your Zoom program there, you can see a live link was just posted there. Now, I'm going to leave this information up here. If anyone has any questions, I promised I would take them in the last portion of the class. So now is the time to ask. Just go to the chat box or to the question and answer box, okay? Someone's asking, does this work on E-mini futures? Yes, it does. I personally trade E-mini futures, and I use this technique. I use especially this exiting technique with strategy number 10, where I like to get out once it closes either above or below the most recent short-term high or low. So the technique I taught you today is what I like to personally use myself when I'm intraday trading the E-mini futures. You'll find it works really well to trade in and out quickly, okay? But remember, in our course, we share with you upwards of 6 or 7 different ways to exit. If you'd like to stay in the trade longer, we show you how to do that. If you'd like to get out quickly, we show you how to do that. Remember, we have aggressive and conservative ways to trade, but that's all included in the class. I know someone is asking right now, where do I place my stop? Well, I could, I just don't want to give away all the information. We have a number of different stop placements, but if I gave away the entire course, then what would be the information that I could be teaching you in the class? You'd all have it already free. Okay. So that's really what this is about. We're going to give you all that information in the course. All right. Someone's asking, could you show how the PET-D could have helped to improve the signals? Well, no, we'll see that PET-D won't help improve the signals. The PET-D is incorporated within the signals. Remember, I said at the very beginning that this does not use the buy-sell line to tell you what the overall trend is, because we're only looking for the short-term trend. Well, how do we define the short-term trend? It applies the PET-D. So the PET-D is already incorporated. Now, you'll learn all the rules. This is not a black box. This is not something where you don't have any idea what it's based off of. You'll learn exactly what it's based off of in the course. I'll share with you how to apply the PET-D and how it generates these setups. Remember, it's a combination pattern-based indicator as well as a pattern in the actual bar charts. So this will all be taught to you in the course, and applying the PET-D tells you where the trend is, because the PET-D is a short-term trend identifier. For those of you who aren't familiar with the PET-D, it's a color bar tool. If you go to, if you look at any of my tweets, there's a lot of examples of how it works. It's a great tool, a tool I've been using for over 4 decades. I use it every day in my trading, and I think it can help you. And it's incorporated within the rules that make up strategy number 10. Okay, so good question. But that, I know a lot of you don't have the PET-D, and so you need it in order to identify the setups. So that's why strategy 10 is a little pricey. But for you students that already have the PET-D, we'll give you a discount as well for strategy number 10. Okay. Good questions. I noticed someone saying, I noticed on your other presentations, you give your email address. Is that the same? Yeah. Basically what this person is asking is if they want to ask any questions, do they still get to contact me personally? Yes. All of my students, regardless of what course, regardless of what technique, all of them have access to my personal and private email. So anytime you have a question, anytime you want me to go over a setup with you, say it doesn't make sense, or you're not sure if you're doing something correctly, you're paper trading, well, sure, you can always email me a snapshot of what you think should be happening, what you've done, and I'll go over it with you as soon as possible. So yes, everyone will get my private email, which once again only goes to me, doesn't go to an assistant, doesn't go to a salesperson or an intern, goes directly just to me. So no one else will see it. Okay. Okay, any more questions? Good questions. You sound like you're all been trading for a while, and you all sound like you have experience, but I know what it's like, how frustrating it is to want to be a little bit more consistent. Like I said, I used to work on the floor. I started 47 years ago, but my first year or two, I struggled tremendously. I was doing all the same things that probably you are doing right now, reading all the news events, looking for earnings estimates, waiting to see if there's good news or bad news on the particular things I'm trading, going to chat rooms or trading rooms. I was doing all those things 47 years ago, and they didn't work for me back then. So I don't think they're going to miraculously start working for for many people right now, because they're not based in consistency. They're very, subjective, and we like to teach things that are more cut and dry. So if you're interested in turning your trading around, getting those type of results, come on board. Call Pro Trader Strategies at 310-598-6677. There's absolutely no obligation. They're very flexible. They're not going to try and persuade you to buy something right now. They'll give you a great quote if you want to get a payment plan. And you can think about it and watch the video. You'll get this video later on today, and you can think about it. But the only thing I would suggest is don't think about it too long, because the offer will probably last no longer than a week, and then it'll go back to that high price of close to $5,000, okay? And that probably won't even include the platform. So if you're at all interested, contact Pro Trader Strategies. They can give you a quote on a payment plan, and they can set you up right away. If you're interested in joining right away, you can be up and running as early as today, okay? Okay, if there are no further questions, I just want to say thank you so much for taking time out of your Wednesday. Thank you for joining me today. And as we take one last look at our disclaimer, I really hope you learned something. I at least hope you got a basic idea of how we want to teach you and educate you, and how this technique could really take your trading to the next level. Thank you so much for joining us today, and I wish you all the best of luck in trading. Hope to see you in the strategy number 10 class. Bye-bye. Have a great trading day.